Welcome to Inside Insights, your quick hit of tips, tools, and trends for manufacturing, distribution, and Dynamics 365 Business Central, brought to you by InsightWorks.
I want you to picture a very specific sound.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's the sound of a dot matrix printer screeching in the background, mixed with the beep, beep, beep of forklift reversing, and someone yelling across a concrete floor asking where the pallet of item X actually went.
Oh, man. That is the soundtrack of stress.
It really is. It's the soundtrack of the modern warehouse. I mean, I think a lot of people assume that because we live in the age of AI and supercomputers, every warehouse looks like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Right, with robots zooming around in perfect silence.
Exactly. But the reality for a lot of businesses is, well, it's a guy named Dave holding a clipboard, looking frantic because the computer says he has inventory that physically isn't there.
Ah, the phantom inventory problem. It's a classic. And you're completely right. The gap between the perception of supply chains and the reality on the ground is, it's often massive.
Massive.
And that chaos you described is not just annoying, it's expensive. Every single minute spent hunting for a lost box is money just leaking out of the building.
Which brings us perfectly to the topic of today's deep dive. We are looking at a tool that claims to, well, stop that leaking. We are diving into Warehouse Insight.
Yes.
It's a mobile warehouse management system, a WMS, specifically built for Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central.
And we have a pretty extensive stack of documentation from InsightWorks on this one.
We do.
We're going to tear into the technical specs, the deployment strategy, and of course the financials. But our mission today isn't just to read a feature list to you.
No, nobody wants that.
Right. We want to understand the philosophy behind this tool. How do you take a chaotic, paper-heavy warehouse and turn it into a digital operation without, and I think this is the key part, without making your staff absolutely hate you?
Yes. Digital precision is the goal here.
Yeah.
But usually the road to digital precision involves, a 6-month IT nightmare. So let's start with the architecture, because the sources keep using this one phrase over and over, native add-on.
It's probably the most important phrase in the entire documentation.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Native. In my head, native means I was born here, I speak the language fluently, I know where the good coffee spots are. Does it mean the same things for software?
Surprisingly, yeah, it really does. To understand why this matters, you have to look at the alternative. Traditionally, if you run Business Central as your ERP.
Your financial brain.
Exactly, your financial brain. If you want a mobile warehouse system, you usually go out and buy a third-party WMS. That WMS lives on a different server, maybe even in a totally different country.
So they're basically strangers?
They are strangers who need a translator. You have to build an integration or a connector to get them to talk to each other.
Sounds complicated.
It is. You have to explicitly tell System A that STAU 123 is the exact same thing as item ID 123 in System B. And that connector, that is the single biggest point of failure in supply chain tech.
Because bridges break.
Bridges break constantly, or they get clogged. Imagine this scenario. You scan a pallet on the loading dock. That data has to travel across the bridge, get translated, and then finally update Business Central. Sometimes that takes a split second, but sometimes if the server is busy, it takes 10 or 15 minutes.
And in that 10 minutes, a salesperson in the main office looks at their screen, sees the item is still quote-unquote in stock, and sells it to a customer.
Bingo! And then you have to make that incredibly embarrassing phone call to say, actually, we don't have it.
Ouch.
That is exactly what happens when systems aren't native. With Warehouse Insight, because it is native, it lives inside the Business Central environment. There is no bridge. There is no translator.
So when I scan that barcode on the floor, I'm not sending a message to the ERP. I'm literally operating the ERP.
Precisely. You are updating the SQL database directly in real time. The latency is 0.
Wow.
The moment the warehouse worker hits enter, the finance team, the sales team, and the procurement team all see the update instantly.
That feels like it removes a massive layer of anxiety for the IT department. I mean, nobody wants to be the person debugging a broken API connector at 2 in the morning.
It's huge for IT, but honestly, it's also huge for trust. Well, if your warehouse team doesn't trust that the screen is accurate, they start keeping secret paper stashes.
Oh, the shadow inventory.
Exactly. They start double-checking everything manually because the system burned them once. And then you've lost all the efficiency you paid for. Native isn't just a technical spec, it's a reliability feature.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, speaking of reliability, let's talk about the physical environment. Because warehouses are not clean, well-lit office spaces with perfect 5G coverage.
Not at all.
They are giant metal boxes filled with more metal.
They're essentially Faraday cages designed to kill Wi-Fi signals.
Right. You have those dreaded dead zones. You're in the back corner, or worse, you're inside a walk-in freezer with thick, insulated walls. The signal drops. In a typical cloud setup, doesn't that mean work just stops?
It does. We call it the spinning wheel of death.
Oh, I hate that wheel.
Everyone does. You scan an item and the device just sits there loading. And think about the human cost of that. You have a worker who is in the zone trying to get a hot shipment out the door and the tool just fails them.
Yeah.
They have to stop, walk 50 feet to find a signal, wait for it to reconnect.
It just breaks their flow
It
completely.
just shatters the flow, and it's incredibly frustrating. But the sources highlight a feature in Warehouse Insight called Standard Offline Mode. And this isn't just caching a web page, it's much more sophisticated.
How does it work under the hood? Like, if they aren't online, how do they know what to pick?
The system actually downloads the necessary data straight to the device. The pick lists, the item journals, the bin locations, it all goes to a local database on the handheld device itself.
So the scanner basically becomes a little mini server.
Exactly. So when that forklift driver drives into the freezer or goes to that back corner behind the steel racking, the app doesn't care.
The Wi-Fi can drop to 0.
The Wi-Fi drops to 0, and they can keep scanning, keep validating barcodes, keep working as if nothing happened.
That is wild. And then what happens when they come back to civilization and get a signal again?
The device is smart enough to constantly sniff for a connection in the background. The exact moment it detects a signal, it automatically syncs all those transactions back to the main system.
Does the user have to trigger it?
Nope. It happens entirely in the background. The user doesn't have to hit upload or worry about data conflicts at all.
That is what I mean by making the tech work for the human. The worker shouldn't have to know or care about network topology. They just want to move boxes.
And from a management perspective, it ensures operational continuity. You aren't paying people $20 an hour to stand around waiting for the internet to come back.
Very true. Now, I want to pivot to something in the notes that actually made me a bit skeptical. I am always wary when enterprise software companies use the word free.
Ah, you're talking about the WMS Express tier.
Yes. Usually free means free for 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Or free, but you can only scan one item a day.
Mm-hmm.
But the research here suggests this is actually, well, legitimate.
I had the exact same reaction, so I really dug into this part of the documentation. It appears to be genuinely free.
Yeah.
No trial expiration, no credit card required to sign up. It's a permanent license for specific functionality.
Okay, there has to be a catch.
Yeah.
Is it stripped down to the point of being useless?
Not at all. It's limited by scale, not by usefulness.
Yeah.
It supports up to 5 connected devices per company.
5 devices. Okay, so if you are a small distributor or a startup, 5 scanners is probably plenty to run your receiving and shipping docks.
More than enough for a lot of small shops.
And what can you actually do with those 5 scanners?
It handles the core 4 of warehouse operations, receiving purchase orders, picking sales orders, doing inventory counts, and moving items bin to bin.
Honestly, if you can do those 4 things digitally, you've probably eliminated 90% of the paper in your building right there.
Exactly. And strategically, this is brilliant on InsightWorks' part. The biggest barrier for small businesses isn't that they want to stay on paper. They hate paper.
It's messy.
It's awful.
Yeah.
But they are terrified of the price tag of a full WMS implementation.
Right. It's the risk factor. What if we spend $50,000 and it doesn't even work?
Exactly. So WMS Express removes the risk entirely. You download it, you try it. If it works, great, you're digitized. And here's the really smart part. It runs on the exact same code base as the paid version.
Oh, interesting. So it's not a separate light version that acts completely differently?
No. It is the full engine, just with some of the advanced switches turned off. So let's say your business really takes off. Suddenly you need 10 scanners, or you need advanced manufacturing integration.
You don't have to uninstall everything and start over?
You just buy the license key, and the features unlock immediately.
Meaning you don't have to retrain your staff.
0 retraining. The interface is exactly the same. It's a seamless path from a mom-and-pop shop to an enterprise distributor.
That scalability is key. But let's actually talk about that enterprise side for a second. Because once you get big, things get complicated. You have weird workflows. Maybe you handle hazardous materials that need a special check, or you have high-value goods that need a serial number scan every time they move.
This is exactly where out-of-the-box software usually fails completely. It forces you to change your business to fit the software.
Sorry, the computer says we have to do it this way.
And that is a huge productivity killer. Now, usually, if you want to change that rigid workflow, you have to hire a developer.
And that's not cheap.
You pay them $200 an hour, they write some custom code, and then 6 months later, Microsoft updates Business Central and breaks that custom code.
The endless, painful cycle of maintenance.
Warehouse Insight has a tool designed to stop that cycle. It's called the App Designer. And the phrase to pay attention to here is drag and drop.
I love drag and drop. It makes me feel like a programmer without having to actually learn syntax.
It empowers what the industry calls the citizen developer. Let's say you notice that your packers are consistently forgetting to check the expiration date on perishable goods.
Okay, a very real problem in food and beverage.
Huge problem. With the App Designer, a manager, not a coder, just a warehouse manager, can open the interface on their desktop, drag a confirmation step onto the packing screen, and link it to the expiration date field.
Just drag in a box on a screen.
Just dragging a box.
Right.
Now, the app on the scanner physically won't let the worker proceed to the next step until they scan that date.
And you do that in what, 5 minutes?
Maybe 10 if you're drinking coffee while you do it. But
Yeah.
The point is, you adapted the tool to the reality of the floor. You aren't waiting for a vendor to release a patch. You own your workflow.
That is really powerful. I also saw a term in the customization section that sounded like a metaphor, but I think it's literal. License plating.
Ah, yes. License plating. It's an essential feature, but no, it's not about cars.
I assumed we weren't parking forklifts out in the street.
Think of a license plate as a container ID. Imagine you have a wooden pallet. On that pallet, you have 50 different boxes. Some are red widgets, some are blue widgets, all different quantities. It's a mixed bag.
Moving that manually sounds like a nightmare. Do I have to scan every single box if I move the pallet?
Without license plating, yes.
Right.
If you want to move that pallet from the receiving dock to aisle 4, you have to scan all 50 boxes to tell the system they moved. It takes forever.
And you probably miss one.
Almost certainly. With license plating, you slap one master barcode, the license plate, on the shrink wrap of the pallet.
No.
The system knows that plate 123 contains all those 50 items in those exact quantities. So you scan that one single barcode and boom, the system moves everything instantly in the database.
That is an exponential time saver.
It's massive. And InsightWorks has a whole catalog of these kinds of add-ons. They have dynamic ship for integrating with carriers like FedEx and UPS right from the handheld.
Well, that's handy.
They have advanced inventory counts for cycle counting. It's honestly like building a custom suit off the rack. You take the base system and just bolt on the specific superpowers your warehouse actually needs.
So we have the tech. It's native, it's offline capable, it's customizable. But I have to bring us back to the human element. The big D word. Deployment.
The root canal of the business world.
Everyone dreads it. You announce, hey, everyone, we're getting new software. And the staff just thinks, great, I guess I'll see my family again in 3 months. How does InsightWorks actually address the pain of installation?
They have a program called Quick Start, and the name is very intentional. It is designed specifically for companies already using Business Central SaaS.
What's the core philosophy there?
The philosophy is simply don't boil the ocean.
I like this.
Don't try to reimagine your entire supply chain theory on day one. Just get the hardware in hand, install the app, and start scanning barcodes.
Speaking of hardware, am I locked into buying their specific proprietary brand of scanner?
No, and that is a very big plus in my book. It's hardware agnostic.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
It means if you want to buy the super rugged, drop-proof, freezer-rated devices from Honeywell or Datalogic because your guys are incredibly tough on equipment, great, you can do that.
And if I can't afford those?
If you want to use cheaper Android devices off the shelf because you're on a tight budget, that works too. The software runs on both.
So the barrier to entry on the hardware side is low, but let's talk about the other barrier, money, specifically the licensing model. Yeah. Because this is where I think a lot of CFOs get incredibly frustrated with SaaS software.
You mean the standard per user model?
Right. If I have 50 employees in the warehouse, the software company says I have to buy 50 subscriptions. Even if Bob only works Tuesdays and Alice only works the night shift, I'm paying for them 24/7.
It's incredibly inefficient for shift-based industries, but Warehouse Insight uses concurrent device licensing. This is a huge differentiator for warehouse operations.
Okay, walk me through the math on that. How does it work?
You aren't paying for the human, you are paying for the device being used. Let's say you run a 24-hour operation. You have a day shift with 10 workers and a night shift with 10 workers.
So that's 20 people on payroll.
20 people on payroll.
Yeah.
But you only own 10 physical scanners. The day shift uses them, puts them in the charger at 5 o'clock, and goes home.
Then the night shift comes in.
The night shift comes in, picks up the exact same scanners, and starts working.
So how many software licenses do I actually buy?
10.
Wow. So I'm effectively covering 20 people for the price of 10.
Exactly, because only 10 devices are actively communicating with the server at any one time. The software doesn't care who is logged in, just that the device itself is running.
That makes so much sense.
For multi-shift operations, this effectively cuts your software licensing costs in half compared to a named user model.
That is a detail that really respects the reality of blue-collar work. It's not an office where everyone sits at a personal desk from 9 to 5. People share tools.
And it connects right back to ROI, the return on investment. When you combine that licensing savings with the time saved by license plating.
And the downtime you avoided by having that offline mode.
Exactly. Plus, the sheer accuracy of native integration, eliminating those phantom inventory issues. The system pays for itself incredibly fast.
It stops being an expense on the ledger and starts being a savings plan.
It's really about survival.
Right.
We talked about phantom inventory at the start of our deep dive today. In today's market, speed and accuracy are table stakes.
You can't fake it anymore.
You can't. If you can't tell a customer exactly what you have in stock and exactly when it will ship, they will go to Amazon. Or they will go to your direct competitor down the street who can tell them.
Real-time data isn't a luxury anymore. It's the oxygen the business runs on.
Very well put. So whether you are the material handler on the floor who just wants to get through the day without fighting a broken system, or the IT director trying to keep the tech stack stable, the ultimate goal is the same: transparency and supply chain agility.
So let's wrap this up for the listener. If you are tuning into this and you are running Business Central,
And you're still printing out paper pick lists every morning.
then you have options. You really don't have to stay in the chaos. You can start with the free WMS Express just to dip your toe in. See what it actually feels like to scan a barcode instead of ticking a tiny box with a pencil.
Or, if you're ready to really commit, look at the Quick Start program for the full Warehouse Insight Suite. The technology is clearly there. The native integration entirely removes the risk of broken connectors. The excuses for staying on paper are rapidly disappearing.
I want to leave you with one final thought today. We always ask, how much does the software cost? We agonize over the budget, we look at the monthly fees, but we rarely ask the inverse question.
Right. What is the cost of doing nothing?
Exactly. Think about that for a second. If you actually sat down and calculated the cost of every lost minute, every mispicked item that had to be returned, every expedited shipping fee you paid to fix a mistake, and every frustrated employee who quit because of that clipboard system.
It adds up fast.
It does. You might find that the status quo is literally the most expensive option you currently have.
That is a very expensive clipboard.
It truly is.
Yeah.
Something for you to mull over next time you walk past an empty shelf that the computer swears is full. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Always a pleasure.
Keep learning, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.